Hatred is a powerful thing, one that is, perhaps, as hard as death to overcome. Welcome to Raid Story Legends with me, LeilaFox, and special guest Chosen. Hey there, welcome to Raid Story Legends. I am LeilaFox. This is a weekly YouTube series that I do to share with you lore from some of our favorite champs from Raid Shadow Legends. Continuing on with the theme for February with duo stories, I have Zavia and Bellanor. And not just that, we also have a special guest joining us today, Chosen. Chosen, thank you so much for joining us for the story today.
Hey, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining. So today we're going to be talking about Zavia and Bellanor. We know that they are a great legendary couple from Raid. Everybody knows them. They are well known. Are they one of your favorite couples in the game?
Yeah, I mean, Zavia is the speed farming queen. I've used her a lot. I was super excited when I summoned her. And then Belanor is super viable in lots of different unkillable compositions and can crank out some damage with decreased defense and the weaken. So, yeah, I think it's a fun duo. And it's one that has always kind of intrigued me a little bit because of the fact that it is a high elf and they have a tandem with a dark elf. So, one of the more interesting pairings that I kind of noticed because of that sticking out to me.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to talk about today, which is what I'm really excited about, is how did this happen? How did a high elf and a dark elf end up together? And that's what we're going to talk about. So guys, thank you so much for joining, and let's get into the lore for Zavia and Bellanor. Hatred is a powerful thing, one that is perhaps as hard as death to overcome. Yet even here love finds a way. The story of Belanor and Zavia.
High elves originate in Arabia, where they have built a wondrous, shimmering city. Living in these lands of plenty has enabled them to evolve their society to the highest degree of physical, intellectual, and spiritual achievement. High principled, they welcome exiles and offer them new homes further east.
Fallen from grace in their homelands of Arabia, the Dark Elves inhabit the forests that border the realms of Teleria. They see the persecutions in Karak as a boon than a bane, supplying them with a stream of silver. They have set up tolls for those anxious to pass safely, but woe betide those who cannot pay.
Cruel fate had Belanor and Zavia fight on different sides of one of the many conflicts between the High Elves of Arabia and the exiles known as Dark Elves. Still, even though the bloody fog of war through hate and through fury, these two souls were united.
As stragglers of a battle between the warring elven factions, they were initially forced to survive an unwelcoming orc-infested desert together. The sheer adversity and the dangers they faced allowed them to see a person behind the mask of an enemy.
The passion that was sparked then survived far beyond a temporary alliance of convenience. And in the end, both Belanor and Zavia chose to escape together rather than continue the feud. Now seen as traitors and deserters by their former allies, the two of them had no choice but to live on the run.
They faced persecution, poverty, and mortal danger together. Finally, they were captured and sentenced to death for their crimes. Yet when the first light of dawn broke and the jailers arrived to take the fugitives to the scaffold, they were taken aback. The cell was locked and secured, not a single hint at how the captives escaped.
The only thing they found were two feathers on the stone floor, one black as night, the other white as Lumaya's light. To this day, no one knows what transpired on that night, though some, as they often do, attribute the miraculous escape to the Arbiter.
And here's the story for Zavia and Bellanor. What did you think? I think it's really cool that they talk about that these two had to survive together. That they, again, like you mentioned in the beginning, they're these warring factions. These factions hate each other, right? And just due to a convenience, they end up together and they have no choice but to survive. They either work together or they're both dead.
Yeah, choosing to escape together rather than continue the feud is kind of a good message in general. It's better to come together than try to force a continued fight. So, and then I've never heard of Lumaya's light before, so that was kind of, and then they mentioned the Arbiter there at the end, of course, the high elf leader, the the leader in the tutorial that walks you through, kind of teaching you raid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and what's fun with Lamea too, she's supposed to be the goddess for Telerio, right? So that's how they see these stories and these lores. When something spiritual happens or something unexplainable, Lumaya did it. And you're right with Arbiter, Arbiter shows up in so many of these stories. She often is the one that helps these champs to redeem themselves, and she's often the ones that puts them in the shards. Often she gives them quite an ultimatum, is they either die or they have to go into the shard. So who knows? And that's really what happens, right? Like when we hear these lore stories, that's their choice. They have one or two choices, and a lot of times they choose, okay, the life of the shard, and we're going to have somebody choose out of a shard eventually, and we're going to serve Teleria. And that's obviously what we see here is most likely she showed up and she said, okay, you're either going to be executed or you are going to serve us in a shard, and you're going to be summoned from a shard.
Yeah, no, it's cool to finally understand a little bit, because like I said, since I started playing the game, I was always like, why is there a high elf and a dark elf pairing up as a tandem ability here? Because usually it's things like Skullcrown and Sinesha, where they're in the same faction or they're in something that makes sense. But I know one of the more recent ones you did was also one where they're from different factions with Manea and Kornar.
Yep, and even the new one for the new champs, we have Astralon and Countess. They're complete different factions as well. We're talking like an angel and demon. And so here again, same thing, we have different elves. And you know, in the beginning you were talking about using these champs in the game. Is both these champs, they have abilities that work together, and they're both offensive, right? We have that tactical partner, we have that Camelicious partner, where these two together have this ability in the game, which I think also goes along with the fact that they had to survive together. So they had to learn to work together, and we get that ability in the game too. So I like that they kind of put that in the lore and they added that into the game too. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about all the little things that you don't even know about in the game when you're just kind of logging in and playing and doing your thing and pulling shards. And
yeah, exactly. And that's what I love about the lore. So thank you again so much for joining me for the story of Zavia and Bellanor, and I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Thanks again, Chosen.
Hey, you bet. Thanks for inviting me. It was fun.